Do you have all the things they say should make you happy, but you still feel unfulfilled? Are you always doing what you should do? Or do you never feel like you're enough? And you want to feel better, more fulfilled, more aligned, and more comfortable in your own body? Then this is the show. Scared as fuck and doing it anyway, showing up authentically. My name is Paula Schuster, and I'm a self-love and authenticity coach. My life completely changed when I started loving myself again, putting myself first, and being true to me. This is the show that's going to help you get out of being stuck, out of the cycles of self-abandonment, and help you choose yourself without feeling selfish. It will give you not only inspiration, but awareness, courage, and insights to make changes and live your life for you. Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to the Scared as Fuck and Doing It Anyway, Showing Up Authentically podcast. You're with your host, Paula Schuster. Before we get started today, I have an announcement to share with you. I am making a change to post new episodes of the podcast every other week rather than every week, at least while we're in the process of our move. Most of you know that we're moving out of state in less than 2 months. And I'm doing this because it's just getting so busy and I really need and want the extra time to spend with my kids before I move away. And I just don't want to have too much on my plate. So starting next week and through the end of August, maybe longer, episodes will drop every other week. And that means there won't be a new episode next week. So there you have it. So getting into today's episode, it's just you and me again today. I'm doing a solo episode to talk about how being authentic has paid off for me. Like, how have I gotten the return on my investment? I'm going to share some personal stories about how showing up authentically and putting that into practice as my regular everyday existence has changed my life. And let me just say, like, oh my God, it has paid off in every way, in so many ways. Everything about my life is different and better. And before we get into it all, this is actually part 2 to the episode I did a couple of months ago on what authenticity means to me. I want to thank my friend Jamie for asking me to do this episode. I remember you asking me to do this episode, Jamie, and I'm finally getting to it. So I hope you're listening out there, sweet friend. And I hope this helps answer the questions that you have. I miss you, Jamie. Okay, let's see. Where do I want to start? Let's start with how my life has changed and improved since I've been showing up as my true self. And maybe I'll start with how I feel and what I do, and it will just all kind of flow from there. So how has being authentic paid off for me? Well, first off, I'm happier, healthier, and definitely more fulfilled because I'm showing up authentically. Like, I like my life more, and there's so much less stress because I don't have to worry about how I'm showing up, or I don't have to worry about trying to be impressive or doing the right things, and I'm using air quotes, or doing what I should do, more air quotes. I just show up as myself, so I'm happier. It's easier. I'm healthier because there's so much less stress on my body, mind, and spirit. I also sleep better because I have so much less stress. And I like myself more, so I don't have all the resistance and the negative self-talk and the exhaustion from being mean to myself because I'm trying to fake my way through everything. And I'm more fulfilled because I'm living as my true self. Like, I'm not trying to be somebody I'm really not. I'm not trying to be impressive or to be liked or to belong in some group. I belong to me, and that's a huge difference from where I used to be. Like, I didn't belong to myself for so many years. I'm peaceful from the inside out, living authentically. I have so many more good days than I used to when I was putting masks on and not really being me. Like, it's just easier to be happier and to turn things around when I'm not having a good day. And, part of this is also just accepting and allowing the bad days too, and letting them be what they are instead of resisting them, welcoming them too, because it's all part of the human existence. I'm way more confident showing up authentically. My confidence has just like skyrocketed since I've just been me, especially when it comes to doing things by myself, whether that's, traveling or doing a project or whatever. Like I'm doing things on my own more than I used to. I'm no longer scared and super nervous to do social media posts, where I'm doing the talking or putting myself out there, like reels and stuff. Before I would have to practice like 20 or more times before getting it to the point where I feel like it was good enough to post. Now I just get on and do it in one try because it's okay if I fuck it up a little, like that's how I learn, and I don't need to be perfect. And who wants to be freaking perfect anyway? Which, by the way, is another payoff of being authentic. I'm like over my perfectionism. No one likes a perfect person because no one is perfect. And I don't want to pretend that I can be perfect like I used to try to do. I'm human. I'm meant to mess up, and that's more relatable anyway. Another example of me being more confident was when I approached a local wellness center about doing Reiki and sound baths there. The city that I live in had purchased this wellness center, so I knew I would be talking to people who didn't know about these modalities and who would think that they were like woo-woo. But I did it anyway, and they said yes. And I was also taking a chance moving into a bigger venue for sound baths. So because we were doubling our space, we were in a much smaller space before, and it's all just worked out. We've been doing monthly sound baths there now for, I don't know, it's probably like 10 months. And they're super popular events. I missed last month's sound bath because I was in LA at a women's podcasting summit, and I had someone cover for me, and people like missed me and they wanted to make sure that I was coming back. So that was super cool. And now with our move out of state, I'm actually doing my last sound bath there tonight. And we have a full house registered, which is super exciting. I was also confident enough to start my Sacred Sisterhood Circle group, which I'm so proud of and I'm so grateful for. Like I had been craving community and connection, and so just decided one day that I was going to create this women's group, and I did. And it's this beautiful place to have like soul nourishing conversations, and it's a refuge for all of us, like a place to come together and witness each other and celebrate each other and to be there for each other and support each other fully. And, a place where we can just be who we are. Like we don't have to prove ourselves or be impressive. We can just show up and be held. We meditate together. We coach each other and remind each other of what's actually true when we forget. And we've been deepening our connection with each other as we embrace, the sacred feminine and bring it back into the fabric and rhythm of our everyday lives. Like I love my sisterhood so much. And I was so nervous. I was nervous as hell kicking it off at the first gathering, but I just showed up as myself, tears and all, and it has just worked out so beautifully. Let's see, what I feel rested and not exhausted showing up authentically, always having to show up in a way that I thought other people expected me to, and abandoning myself like that was really fucking exhausting. So generally speaking, I feel more rested. I have a lot more courage and bravery showing up authentically because I'm solid within myself. And I think a great example of courage and bravery is with our current move out of state. My wife and I we sold our house, and we don't know yet where we're moving, except that we're going south. Her family's in Kentucky, so we might land there, or we might go to Tennessee or one of the Carolinas or Georgia or Virginia. We're moving like halfway across the country, and we really don't have a plan. Like we haven't even made our first list, and we're list makers. Like I'm actually pretty amazed about that. I'm sure the lists will be made, but we haven't even done it yet. And this whole thing has really been instigated by me, so that's just one example of the courage. I put myself first, showing up authentically, and it feels good. I have more focus on myself, and then also less conflict in my relationships. I think it's because I take radical responsibility for myself and my actions, because I know who I am and I know what I'm capable of. And if I'm in a situation, and it's not going well, an argument is coming on or something, I look inward and ask myself, like, what am I mad at myself for? What am I not happy about within myself? Because I know that's really what it's about. And I also take time for myself and rest instead of going until I crash. And again, I believe it's because I know who I am and I'm solid within myself and I have nothing to prove to anyone. I show up for myself and I trust myself more because I'm living authentically. I state my needs and wants rather than shying away from them. Whether that's, I don't know, asking for the chairs to be removed from the room where we have our sound baths when I know it's extra work for the team at the marsh, or if it's asking for a discount when I'm joining a yoga season partway through, or rescheduling a client appointment if I'm just not feeling up to par, or asking for help with any number of things. I just ask for what I need, and that's not something I used to do. I would silently suffer and then get resentful, and then I had that building up in me. And now I just ask for what I need. And I don't ask others to carry anything for me that they shouldn't be. I don't abandon myself anymore, meaning I say no when I don't want to do something or when it's not a hell yes for me. And I say yes to what I do want. This is a form of choosing me in every moment, and that to me is showing up authentically. I used to do a lot of things that I didn't really want to do, but I did them because I thought I should, or because I thought it was what I was supposed to do. Now, what I should do doesn't even cross my mind anymore, except, well, maybe with my parents and siblings and that part of my family. I'm still working on not slipping back into old habits with them. It's for some reason it's harder when I'm around them. But this is a big one for me because I used to abandon myself all the time, like with the majority of my daily decisions and life decisions, because someone else wanted me to do something or whatever. So I put everyone before myself, and I would run myself ragged trying to do all the things for everyone else. And then I suffered because I would run out of time or energy before doing what I wanted or needed. And now I just say no when I'm sort of expected to do something that I don't want to do. Like when I don't want to drive my sister to family gatherings, even though it's on my way to pick her up and drop her off. And when I don't want to co-sign my daughter's student loans, and when I don't want to help my wife with something that she's asking for help with. Like I may help her later or some other time, but if in the moment I'm not feeling it or I'm busy with something that I want to prioritize, I just say that and we work it out. And that might seem simple, these everyday little things, but it's big, they build up. And it's not that, I'm being mean or inconsiderate with any of these things. And if that's how you look at it, then I guess I invite you to take a look at how you're abandoning yourself every day with big and small decisions. So that's not the point. I'm choosing myself as a mean. I'm not choosing myself as a means to hurt others. I also really don't care about what society says I should do either. I do a lot of things that aren't traditional, and I'm using air quotes when I say that, like moving away from my kids, quitting my secure, more air quotes, corporate job, quitting that after 25 years to do more purposeful work, taking money out of my 401k to live now, not going to my mom's for family Christmas, or, speaking openly about how my family fights for their limitations. And more, and I don't intend to hurt anyone's feelings, which may happen in the process of some of these things, but I'm also not responsible for anyone else's feelings. They're responsible for their feelings, and I have to let them have their experience, and I get to have mine. And there are a whole bunch of other ways that I choose myself rather than abandoning myself like I used to. But suffice it to say that this is part of how I show up authentically. I'm more comfortable in my body. I mean, I always felt so uncomfortable in my own skin, and like I had to be impressive in some way, like I had to say the right thing to be funny or to make people like me or do the right things or buy drinks or whatever it was. Now I know that what's truly impressive is showing up as real as I can be, as much me as possible, with an open heart and just presence and curiosity and love. That's what matters, and it's so fucking freeing. All of this is that I'm talking about today. Like, it's all freeing. Like, my whole life is so much more free as I become more and more authentic. Like, I finally feel free. Like, I felt stuck and caged and like fucking chained for so long, doing all the things I should do, or being the good girl, or putting the masks on, putting everyone else before myself. And now I just don't do those things, and I don't live that way, and I'm free. I feel freedom like I've never felt it before. I mainly just do what I want every day, and somehow the universe supports me. My heart is open, and it's such an amazing way to live, with an open heart. I welcome all of the emotions instead of resisting them, even the negative ones, because I realize they're all a part of me and part of this wild life that I get to live. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Like, I have a life that I can't wait to wake up for every day. And man, is that so the opposite of what it used to be like for me. Like, I literally used to hate my life. Everything was a burden. I remember saying I hate my life like a lot. And now I love my life. I don't feel guilty for anything showing up authentically. I do fall back into old patterns with guilt every so often. So it's definitely a work in progress, like everything is. But I fall back into old habits with guilt because it was so ingrained in me with the religious abuse that I endured as a kid. But for the most part, I don't feel guilty, especially like I used to have a tremendous amount of guilt. So when I just compare it to my past, I don't feel guilty. I'm way more patient, and I'm better able to control my emotions. I'm a way better parent, and the example that I set for my kids of how I'm living my life now is like 1000% better than what they were seeing when I was trying to be someone I wasn't. I'm much more proud of how I am now, and it's just a healthier example for them to see. They see me as a much happier and peaceful person being myself. And that's not what they were seeing before. All of my relationships are better showing up authentically, like especially with my kids and even with animals. Like, I have deeper connections with my friends, and I don't have friendships. There are no friendships that are surface level anymore. And I feel like most, if not all, of my friendships were surface level before. And that's mostly because I wasn't showing up authentically. And also because I don't think my friends were authentic either. Like, they were putting on masks to belong and trying to impress and trying to be someone that they weren't too. Trying to be liked and whatever. And I don't say that to call people out. Like, our society just breeds this shit. Anyway, I'm not nervous around people because I don't feel like I have to show up in a certain way. And I used to be nervous even with close friends sometimes. Like, I've never really been an animal person either. Like, we tried having a puppy once when I was young, and that didn't go very well. So I didn't grow up with pets. Like, my mom didn't like pets. or animals, so I didn't really either. And now, like, I care about them and I like them and I want to have a relationship with them. I feel like we're all one. So that's been a really cool thing. My relationship with my kids has improved tremendously, like especially with my son. A few years ago, I was trying to control his beliefs about women, about how men should show up, and about men expressing emotion, about religion, and like other things. And I was doing that because I was caught up in my conditioning and I wanted him to be a certain way. And, you know, of course, like any kid, he was pushing back. And it got to the point though where he didn't even want to be around me, and he didn't like being here at my house. And in fact, he told me he wanted to go and be at his dad's full time, which literally broke my heart because I was always like the safe and stable parent. Crazy. And fast forward to today, and we have like the best relationship. We talk about his life and what he likes. We laugh and have fun. We appreciate each other for who we are. And he gives me more hugs now than he has since he was in middle school. And I'm just eating it up. Just eating it up. I'm so grateful, you know, showing up authentically. It just comes naturally. Like I find myself being grateful about everything. Even in the hard times, I find myself saying how grateful I am for this hard experience because I know life is happening for me and that the universe is supporting me. So there has to be good in this hard thing that's happening right now. And that's been an amazing shift. And I don't know, probably the most recent thing there has been the house. Like we had a buyer signed up a purchase agreement. We got an inspection and they backed out without wanting to negotiate. And of course, we were trying to negotiate. And so that was a really hard situation. And I was just like super calm throughout the whole thing. And it's like, okay, well, this is happening for a reason. You know, the universe is supporting us. Maybe there's a better buyer out there for us. And in fact, there was. And they came very shortly thereafter. I find joy and happiness in the small things in life, showing up authentically, like listening to the birds sing, listening to the wind blow, looking at the trees, the flowers, plants. When I was trying to be someone I wasn't, I didn't have time for such things, and I certainly didn't find them joyful. I mean, you know, I was too busy. I remember getting mad at my, or not getting mad, but not at someone, but just saying like the windows need to be closed on the weekend mornings. I don't want to hear the birds chirping because I need to sleep. You know, like something like that's who I used to be. And now it's like, oh my God, open the window so I can hear the birds chirp. Anyway, you know, I was too busy back then trying to figure everything out and plan everything out and being stressed and burdened by everything. And it's easier walking authentically. I'm super surprised that I'm traveling and taking trips and doing like amazing things so much more than now that I'm, you know, being more authentic, and it, you know, in comparison to when I was working in corporate and made more money and wasn't being authentic, like, because I held myself in this, I don't know, stuck position, I guess. Anyway, I'm traveling more and loving it. I'm in tune with myself and my body and my intuition. Like I listen, I recognize, I feel, and I follow my intuition. I follow the breadcrumbs that are put in front of me, and that makes life so much easier. Like, I mean, I'm still learning to listen all the time because like sometimes I don't listen to my intuition and I learn like right away afterwards. But, you know, I'm only listening part of the time and it has completely changed my life. Like I have a podcast, y'all. Like what the fuck? I'm not working very hard at all. Like I have ease in my days. I enjoy slow mornings most days. I work like I don't know, probably 3 to 6 hours a day. And I realize that, I say all that coming from a place of privilege. I like myself way more. I like my vibe. Like, how was I supposed to like myself when I didn't even really know who I was because I wasn't being me? And I was always looking outside myself for answers and for how to be. And man, was I the mean girl to myself. Like, it was bad how mean and negative I was toward myself. Now I'm being authentic and I really like myself. Like, I think I'm pretty cool. I'm meeting so many like-minded, open-hearted, authentic, and uplifting women. And it's because that's who I'm being, which I love. That's like super amazing. I go with the flow so much more, which makes life easy and so much more enjoyable. Whereas before I tried to control everything, and that caused a ton of suffering in my life because guess what? We only have control over ourselves. I wish I would have realized that so much earlier in my life, but I get it now and everything's easier. I let everyone have their experience rather than trying to control or influence what they think or feel. And when I wasn't being authentic, it was too risky to not try and control everything and everyone around me. I mean, it's control. It's both control and codependency. I was also super codependent before too. I believe in so many more possibilities showing up authentically, than I ever did before. Like, anything is possible, and that's so freaking amazing. Like, just having that kind of outlook on life is a huge game changer for me. Like all the incredible things in life I used to think were only reserved for certain people. And now I know every possibility is available for me too. And I love that. I know life is working for me and not happening to me. I like being sober. When I wasn't living authentically, I had basically had to numb myself with alcohol and drugs because I was so unhappy. And I also feel better because I know I'm living my life for me, and I won't be laying on my deathbed regretting my life and that I lived it for other people. I'll be happy that I changed how and what I was doing before it was too late. Because remember, what you don't change, you choose. And so much more. There's so much more to all this, but that gives you an idea of what I'm thinking about, of the changes that have happened for me as a result of just being more me. There are so many stories that come along with all this, with all I just talked about, big events, small everyday things. And I'll share some of the ones I can think of. So probably the most significant thing that I notice about showing up authentically is how quickly and easily I'm manifesting things in my life. And it's like magic. Again, like, this has only started since I've been back in love with myself and living in my full authenticity, which has brought me back in tune with my intuition. So I'm hearing it, feeling it, listening to it, trusting it, and following it. So Costa Rica is probably first on the list. I manifested a free stay in Costa Rica for 2 months last summer. Just by mentioning that it's a place that Kara and I may want to live someday. And, after I said that, it's 6 months later, I get a text asking if we want to babysit a friend's house and dogs for 2 months. It's like, hello, yes. So we did. I manifested a one-way ticket. So I had been listening to Ben Rector's song, Brand New. And one of the lines in that song is about a one-way ticket, which is something that I have wanted to buy for the longest time, just to have the experience of and feeling of buying it. Because it just feels like it would just be caution to the wind. I'm so free, and I got my chance to do that when we went to Costa Rica last summer. It was so cool, and such a freeing feeling. even though it kind of happened by accident. Ayahuasca, I guess, kind of falls in there. Like, I manifested ayahuasca. I had been wanting to sit with ayahuasca for a long time, like probably years. And I finally got the chance to do that while I was in Costa Rica. And it was, I ended up being able to do it with a very dear friend of mine. And it just all worked out so beautifully. So pound gratitude for that. I manifested work at Yandara. So I've talked about Yandara many times. I have been going to this place called Yandara Yoga Institute for the past several years. It's such a healing place, and I always, always, always experience transformations and so much love and everything I need while I'm there. And ever since the first time I stepped foot on their property in 2020, I've wanted to volunteer there or work there or live there or whatever. And I just wanted to be part of it. And an opportunity presented itself this year when I was there assisting my coaching teacher with her coaching program, which is another thing I manifested, by the way. And right now in my inbox is a request from them that could turn into who knows what. As a side note, I recommend Yandara to everyone. Like, it's a place that you will want to experience at least once in your lifetime. Like, go there, check them out. They offer lots of different programs and trainings. You will not be disappointed, I promise. Starting my podcast. Like, I told this story on, I think it was the episode on my intuition. But I never thought I would be a podcaster. And if you would have told me a year ago that I was going to have a podcast, like, I would have dismissed you and said, no way. I don't even like talking in front of people or in front of groups or whatever. But I followed the breadcrumbs and, that the universe put in front of me, and listened to my intuition and manifest it. And here I am. Just quick, I took a 12-week intensive coaching program in February 2023. My coach happened to be a famous podcaster. So there was 1 week out of the coaching program that was devoted to podcasting. It was the only week I skipped the homework on because I thought, well, I'm not going to be a podcaster. So during the program, I received an email from an executive producer of a radio network who had seen my website, my story, and she wanted me to consider doing a radio show. And I took one look at that email and I filed it away thinking, that's not for me. Again, I don't like talking in front of, people, in front of groups, sharing, my stuff, whatever. A couple days later, I was thinking, well, here I am in this program. I'm working on changing myself, my beliefs. I'm trying to say yes to more things. So I went back and pulled out that email, recognizing that it was something the universe was putting in front of me that maybe I needed to say yes to. So I met with this woman, and she wanted me to start creating a show over the summer for release in the fall. And I told her that wasn't going to happen because I was going to be spending time in Costa Rica watching a friend's house and dogs. And she told me to buy a microphone and bring it with me to Costa Rica because I would probably meet some interesting people there and I could record some conversations. So I did. I bought a microphone. I brought it with me to Costa Rica. I recorded a couple conversations, not knowing what would come of it, a podcast, a radio show, or maybe even nothing. So then I get home from Costa Rica and I see my coach is hosting a free podcasting boot camp. So I signed up thinking I'll get what I can out of the free class because I won't be able to invest in the program because I've spent too much money on myself and Costa Rica and all the things this year. And during the boot camp, I learned about scholarships. So I applied. And I remember thinking, if I receive this scholarship, like, this is another breadcrumb that the universe is giving me, telling me this is my path. So guess what? I received a partial scholarship. And I took the program. I mean, my mind was just fucking blown. I couldn't believe it. I took the course, and after sitting in my fear for a good part of the podcasting course, I launched my podcast, Messy, on January 11th, 24. And it has been truly one of the most amazing and expansive experiences I've ever had. Like, I literally felt brand new, like, especially right after the launch, and so incredibly inspired. It was and is really fucking amazing. sound healing training I manifested last year in 2023. I had made that decision that it was the year to invest in myself, shed my limiting beliefs, change how I was wired, do deep internal work on my worthiness, change my perspective and outlook on life. And so, I had taken that 12-week intensive coaching program I just talked about. And that was a significant investment. Then we went to Costa Rica and we brought the kids and did all the things. So another, expensive investment. And then there was the podcasting training. So a lot of money was being spent and I wasn't making that much yet in my business to cover all that. And so I'd had my eye on sound healing training at Yandara, but had figured that, that's not something I was going to be doing, especially, after all this other money I had spent all year. Well, my wife overheard me talking to a friend about it and told me that I should go. And so I did. And it just turned out that we had like enough points or miles or whatever so that I could get a free plane ticket. And so, I just felt so supported by the universe. And, that's just one of the reasons why. So switching gears, since I've been my authentic self, I've been able to release the need for all the stuff that I used to be so attached to. So material things, holidays, traditions, clothes, the house, status symbols of all kinds, brand names, wearing makeup, how I look, like you name it, like what people think about me, my family, my beliefs, like everything. I've been able to release these attachments and easily detach from everything. And I just feel so much lighter as a constant feeling in my life. So that's been amazing. And I didn't want that shit anyway. I'd rather have love and connection and community and be helping and serving others and be walking in my purpose and being loving and present and have a life that I love. And I have all that now. And I didn't have it before when I wasn't being my authentic self. I was in all these places that I wasn't meant to be, and I wasn't listening to myself. My body and my intuition was telling me I wasn't listening. And I was, super unhappy. And, I said that, I can detach from my family. I'll elaborate on that for just a second. Like I used to have a really strong attachment to my family. We've always been really close. It's actually something I used to be, really proud of. But especially like me and my mom and my sister, we were always really close. And I couldn't imagine not talking to them on the phone all the time or not spending holidays with them, even though they weren't always good for me. And I didn't always feel good being around them. Like I couldn't imagine, life without them. And there, there's some codependency in that too. And codependency creates attachment. And I've done a shit ton of work around healing my codependency and, eliminating it. And I'm not perfect, but I'm, so much better than I used to be. And I know it's a journey. But that attachment that I used to have to my family is just gone. I love them. I definitely still love them. And I wish the best for them, but I don't feel like I need to be attached to them or be around them or, as much as I used to. So, and now I just prioritize how I feel. And a lot of times I don't feel the greatest being around them. And so I choose not to be around them very much. And honestly, I think most of why and how I'm able to do this, to detach like this, is because I don't look for my acceptance and love outside of myself anymore. I give it to myself. And that's big. That's really big. In fact, let me just say that again so we all hear it. I don't look for love and acceptance outside myself anymore. I give it to myself. I do it for myself. Like, wow, I think that just hit me deeper than it has ever before. I'm super proud to be able to say that, because I spent my entire life looking for literally everything outside myself: how to look, how to dress, how to talk, what to think, how to show up, what to do and say and like, and how to be. So it's just cool to see how far I've come in just a few short years. And I say that because I want you to know you can do it too. I feel like this might be a good time to give a little plug about my signature group coaching program that I'm creating for women. It's designed to help high-achieving, ambitious women feel their fullest, most whole, and loved selves. They say that you're most qualified to help the person you used to be. So I'm creating a program that I still need. I'm taking all the things that I've learned from all my teachers and trainings and classes and certifications, and I'm putting them in a program for me and for you. And I can't wait to share it with you. So anyways, stay tuned for that. Some other payoffs of showing up authentically that aren't tied to manifesting. I don't know, maybe some of these are, you be the judge. But I learned to really love myself through all the things. Like even weight gain, and I've struggled with, weight all my life, and that's part of how I used to be so mean to myself. But I had lost 70 pounds over the last few years, and then I recently gained 20 back, like just over the last few months here, because I've been stressed about selling the house, and I was emotionally eating. And while I would like to lose the weight, because I know my body will feel better, I still look in the mirror and I love my body the way it is. Clients. So I got 4 new coaching clients in the space of a few weeks because of what I have on my website, because friends and clients trust me with their kids, and because of my heart and who I am. Like, people constantly tell me how safe they feel to talk to me, that I'm such a great space holder, and that I'm super easy to talk to. And that's because I'm not faking anything anymore. Like, I'm genuine and they can feel it. Reverse aging. Like, people tell me all the time that I look like I'm reverse aging. They tell me that I'm glowing. And yes, that partially has to do with the fact that I've resigned from my corporate job and, don't have that stress. But it's also because I have a different energy, because I love myself and I'm happier because I'm being myself. So you can see it in my complexion even. Like, it's crazy. My business is growing, and, I'm not doing a ton. I'm doing the right next steps for me in the moment, and like following my intuition, like I've said, and trusting that I'm in the exact right place at every moment. Money keeps just showing up as I need it. Like, as an example, we have to repair the deck as a condition of the sale of the house. And my 401k just magically increased by the amount that we needed. Like, I'm just in awe when shit like that happens. Like, it's amazing. So if I had to sum it all up, the payoff of being authentic, it's all around my intuition and being connected to myself. It's who and what I'm attracting by being authentic, my confidence level, my lack of suffering, because I'm not suffering anymore, my thoughts and feelings and beliefs, my love for myself, my level of trust, and saying yes to the things put in front of me, just to name a few. Wow, that was a lot. More than I thought it would be. And Jamie, reach out after you listen and let me know if I hit the mark or if I missed it, and let's talk. And for everybody else, I hope it helped you. I hope it helped Jamie too. Okay, just a reminder before I sign off that I'm moving the podcast to every other week starting now and going through the end of August, maybe longer. So there won't be a new episode next week, but there will be the week after. It was really pretty amazing hanging out with you today, sharing my authentic self. So thank you for listening. I look forward to next time on the Scared as Fuck and Doing It Anyway podcast 2 weeks from now. Thank you again so much for being here. We We all have such full days, and I'm super grateful that you take time out of your day to be here. I hope my podcast gives you new perspective. I hope it sparks inspiration. I hope it adds something positive to your day. I hope it gives you the permission that you need to live your life for you. And I hope this particular episode helps you consider what you can do to show up as your most authentic self. There are amazing episodes on the way, so please make sure that you follow along on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening. And please subscribe too. And if any of the episodes resonate with you, then share them with somebody. Like, take a second and email or text the link to this episode to someone who you think could really use this conversation. Or maybe it's a different one. Text them about a different one. I would absolutely love it if you would leave us a review or a rating, because that helps other people find the podcast, and reviews always fill my heart so much. And finally, I would love to hear from you and connect with you. It's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, was to connect with more people. So reach out and let's meet, let's connect, let's talk. You can always reach me at paula@reikiflowmn.com. I love you all so much. Peace out.